Hello, and welcome back to my corner. I am the DM as always, and today we have a spicy one. As you are all aware, the Supreme Court has overruled Roe v. Wade, officially. And we all have our opinions on it, most of them negative, but I wanted to share some facts. Now, right here, let me move myself out of the way. Right here we can see some interesting quotes. Now I will say in my research I couldn't find Amy Coney Barrett's quote on this, but I found something just as spicy. Now, these are 3 sitting Supreme Court justices. I hate all of them. I kind of liked Kavanaugh and ABC, as I'm going to call her. But not after this. So, we have them saying this, okay? I have both of them saying this, and I have her saying something very damning. So let's go ahead and watch them, shall we? This is one from The Guardian.
What would you say your position today is on a woman's right to choose?
It is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. By it, I mean Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Been reaffirmed many times. Casey is precedent on precedent, which itself is an important factor to remember. And I understand the significance of the issue, the jurisprudential issue, and I understand the significance as best I can. I always try, and I do here, of the real-world effects of that decision, as I tried to do of all the decisions of my court and of the Supreme Court.
Can a sitting president be required to respond to a subpoena?
So that's a hypothetical question.
So, I don't care about the rest of this. It doesn't really matter because we have the response about Roe v. Wade. Keep in mind, all 3 of these people voted to overturn Roe v. Wade. Here we have Gorsuch on his response to Roe v. Wade.
I think the case that most people are thinking about right now, and the case that every nominee gets asked about, Roe v. Wade, can you tell me whether Roe was decided correctly?
Senator, again, I would tell you that Roe versus Wade, decided in 1973, is a precedent in the United States Supreme Court. It has been reaffirmed. The reliance interest considerations are important there, and all of the other factors that go into analyzing precedent have to be considered. It is a precedent of the United States Supreme Court. It was reaffirmed in Casey in 1992 and in several other cases. So a good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court, worthy as treatment of precedent like any other.
And in my opening remarks, I indicated that if anything had super precedent, Roe did in terms of the numbers, and I've put that in the record. Here's why it becomes of concern. The president said that he would appoint someone who would overturn Roe. You pointed out to me that you viewed precedent in a serious way in that it added stability to the law. Could you elaborate on the point that you made in my office on that?
Part of the value of precedent, it has lots of value. It has value in and of itself because it's our history. And our history has value intrinsically. But it also has an instrumental value in this sense. It adds to the determinacy of law. We have lots of tools that allow us to narrow the realm of admissible dispute between parties so that people can anticipate and organize their affairs. It's part of the reason why the rule of law in this country works so well. We have statutes, we have rules, we have a fact-finding process and a judicial system that's the envy of the world. And precedent is a key part of that because as the chairman pointed out when he quoted a piece of mine, once a case is settled, that adds to the determinacy of the law. What was once a hotly contested issue is no longer a hotly contested issue. We move forward.
One other question.
Sure.
Do you view Roe as having super precedent?
Well, Senator, a super precedent is
In numbers,
Well,
44,
it has been reaffirmed many times. I can say
Yes.
that, yes.
yes, dozens.
Had you ever met President Trump personally?
Not until my interview.
In that interview, did he ever ask you to overrule Roe v. Wade?
No, Senator.
What would he have done if he'd asked?
Senator,
And keep in mind, he just said that Trump never asked him to overturn Roe v. Wade.
I would have walked out the door.
Oh, let's run that back. Let's have him say that again, shall we?
Did he ever ask you to overrule Roe v. Wade?
No, Senator.
What would he have done if he'd asked?
Senator, I would have walked out the door. It's not what judges do. They don't do it at that end of Pennsylvania Avenue, and they shouldn't do it at this end either, respectfully.
I have legislation that says at 20 weeks, the unborn child is able to feel excruciating pain, and the theory of the legislation is that the state has a compelling interest to protect an unborn child from excruciating pain, which is caused by an abortion. That if this legislation passes, it will be challenged before you. And you'll have to look at a new theory of how the state could protect the unborn. And here's what I think. You will read the briefs, look at the facts, and make a decision. Am I fair to conclude that?
Senator, I can promise you no more than that, and I guarantee you no less than that, in every single case that comes before
Well, this
me,
is a
no matter
real-world
what the subject
situation
matter.
that made a
So, now we have two sitting Supreme Court justices, and don't worry, we'll get to ABC. We have two sitting Supreme Court justices that have outright stated that they won't. We have two Supreme Court justices who now have done that, and we have Gorsuch himself being so advocate that this is just not something that would ever happen, let alone something he would ever vote for. Now, this one from Miss Amy Coney Barret is before, I believe, Trump was even elected, certainly before she became the judge. I believe, this was when she was a nominee. And this is very condemning for you, ABC.
What would we have in a Trump court? Who knows? I think we know for sure. I could say with confidence, I don't know who Hillary Clinton would appoint, but I can say with confidence the profile or the kind of constitutional approach she would want. Trump, I'm not so sure. He's offered a list, and his list is populated with people who would take a more Scalia-esque approach to the Constitution. Who knows if he would choose from that list or not? He's obviously not bound to do so. I think it would be maybe more of a mixed bag. I think maybe Trump would appoint some that were more in the mold of Scalia, maybe some more in the mold of Kennedy. Who knows? I think abortion, I think people phrase the abortion question when they think about the...
And in case you weren't aware, Scalia did not agree with, if I remember correctly, Scalia did not agree with Roe v. Wade. So.
Supreme Court as, is Roe versus Wade going to be overruled? Roe versus Wade actually isn't the law. It was superseded by Casey versus Planned Parenthood. But we've had, 30.
Which, keep in mind, Casey versus Planned Parenthood reaffirmed Roe v. Wade, like we heard just in the previous two videos. So
30 plus years of a court that did take, on the whole, a more conservative approach to the judicial role, and Roe versus Wade, Casey versus Pennsylvania, left Roe largely intact, reinstated a new test, but it's still there. I don't think that abortion or the right to abortion would change.
Do you think some of the restrictions might change?
I think some of the restrictions would change. I think that's what we just saw last term in the case out of Texas. States, after the Kermit Gosnell affair and all of that, states have imposed regulations on abortion clinics, and I think the question is how much freedom the court is willing to let states have in regulating abortion. I think the question of, the court has held that in some circumstances, states can render partial birth abortion illegal, very late-term abortions. I think that's the kind of thing that would change. I don't think the core case, the Roe's core holding that, women have a right to an abortion, I don't think that would change. But I think the question of whether people can get very late-term abortions, how many restrictions can be put on clinics, I think that would change.
And now we have all three stating that they would never change the precedent of Roe v. Wade. And all three of them have. Oh, but we're not done. We still have just a little smidge left. No, we don't. So, this is why I say there shouldn't be anyone that's elected for life. All three of them stated that Roe v. Wade wouldn't be overturned. One of them stated he would have walked out if it was even contemplated. All three of these people need to be impeached. All of them and everyone else who voted with getting rid and overturning Roe v. Wade, all of them need to be impeached. And the Supreme Court time limit needs to be shortened to a year. If you want to stay in the Supreme Court, you got to prove it to the people. And there ain't going to be no electoral college bullshit. It's whoever gets the most votes. It's not looking good, people. It really, really isn't. This, by the way, all of these people said all of this during their confirmation hearings, which they're not supposed to lie under. Also, Clarence Thomas is a part of it, although I couldn't find anything on him. We need to really start thinking about who we're putting in the offices, and we need to stop voting for the lesser of two evils and voting for the people who are actually going to bring America up. Remember, people, there's more than just Democrat and Republican. There's more than just Democrat and Republican. You can vote otherwise. Do your research. Look up other candidates. One last thing before we sign off. This picture right here, I just want to point it out. It's just very important to keep in mind. All of these are during their confirmation hearings, and so I still have this picture from before. I'm just saying. It's a good thing I didn't get rid of it, because, anyways, I have been the DM. Thank you for coming into my corner, and I'll see you next time.